Hello, welcome to NC Continental Prime, reaching you live from our studio in Lagos, Nigeria. I'm Benga Aborowa, and these are the top stories at this hour. Nigerian troops killed 38 militants in 2 weeks. Ethiopian airstrike on Tigray killed 6 people. And businesses closed amid 4th day of protest in Sudan. We'll bring you all the details shortly. NC Continental Primes begins in West Africa, where we understand Nigerian troops have killed 38 militants in operations conducted in the past 2 weeks in the northeast region. Spokesperson for the Defense Headquarters, Bernard Onyeko, made this known in Abuja at a press briefing. He said troops of Operation Hadinkai killed 38 Boko Haram and Islamic State West Africa province militants in various operations between October the 14th and 28th. Onyeko also said 5 kidnapped civilians were rescued during the operations, while 1,199 militants and their families surrendered to troops during the same period. He said these feats were recorded at some villages in Borno and Yobe states in northeast Nigeria. In the meantime, Nigeria's Defense Headquarters says its operations in the north-central state of Plateau have begun yielding results. Acting Director of Nigeria's Defense Media Operations, Brigadier General Bernard Onyeko, while giving an update on the ongoing military operations around the country, says several attacks on residents in the state were repelled by gallant troops, while several arrests were made, including the confiscation of a large cache of arms and ammunition. Onyeko says troops attached to the Defense Headquarters Operation Safe Haven have denominated the area and assured that relative calm has been restored to the state.
The troops of Operation Safe Haven have continually maintained vigilance and dominated the operations theater with constant land and air patrols to deny the criminal elements freedom of action. This has brought about relative calm in the general area. Some kinetic operations within the period led to the arrest of 8 criminal elements, and also the recovery of 13 assorted arms, 291 rounds of 7.62mm ammunition, and some livestock, among other items, were recovered. And troops' response to distress calls also helped in repelling and forestalling criminal activities, leading to the rescue of 5 kidnapped civilians by the armed bandits and the arrest of 5 criminal elements within the period. Some of these were recorded at Meilafia Market in Sambak Village under Rion local government, Kukawa Village in Kanam local government area, Mukushin district, and Bokos, Kuba, Barkiladi roads in Bogos local government area of Plateau State.
Staying in Nigeria, the storm in the Plateau State House of Assembly is clearly far from over, as the 6 members who spearheaded the impeachment of the Speaker have been suspended. The embattled Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, Abak Ayuba, sanctioned the members while presiding over plenary with a mace outside the premises of the State Assembly. The motion to suspend the 6 members was raised by the Deputy Minority Leader of the Assembly, Philip Dasun, and seconded by the Minority Leader, Peter Gyengdeng, at the plenary, which had 14 members cutting across lines in attendance. Those suspended are the Deputy Speaker, Saleh Yimpong, a Majority Leader, Nanlong Daniel, the new Speaker, Yakubu Sanda, and the former Deputy Speaker, Ibrahim Baba Hassan, Eric Dakagol, and Abubakar Balo. Staying in Nigeria, the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, has pledged to make life uncomfortable for high-profile human traffickers. NAPTIP Director General Fatima Waziri-Aziz says the agency will also ensure it improves on its prosecution record of traffickers nationwide. Waziri-Aziz, who was appointed by President Muhammadu Buhari in September 2021, spoke to newsmen in the nation's capital, Abuja, saying NAPTIP will work with the nation's judiciary and also improve on its witness protection mechanism. She says this will improve public confidence to expose human traffickers within the society.
Inasmuch as we shall continue to arrest and prosecute all offenders, our greater emphasis shall be on those high-profile traffickers. We shall not only go after them, we shall collaborate with other partners and destination countries to recover and return all illicit assets. When we have more convictions and less impunity, that is what sends a message. This we intend to achieve through proactive and diligent investigation and prosecution, aimed at eliminating weaknesses in the prosecution of high-profile cases that will guarantee a realistic prospect of a conviction based on a realistic and objective evaluation of the available evidence. We will also collaborate with the judiciary to sensitize judges handling trafficking in person cases. We will enhance our witness protection mechanism so that victims and witnesses can be further emboldened to testify. We will focus on the implementation of the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act of 2015 and enhance capacity building for our investigators, our operatives, prosecutors, intelligence officers, and caregivers.
We now head to the east of the continent, where a fourth day of protests were held across Sudan against Monday's coup. The demonstrations remained smaller owing to a heavy security presence, while businesses on shutdown. The United Nations Special Representative to Sudan, while meeting with the military leader, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, he urged him to release detainees and restore a transitional authority which includes civilians. Local media says that state news agency SUNAB has been closed for the first time in more than 50 years after being taken over by the military. General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan has sacked 7 Sudanese ambassadors who rejected the coup. In the meantime, Sudan's military ruler, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, says the internet will be restored in phases. He said this amidst continued threats to media freedom and accessibility following the October 25th army takeover. Local media reporting on developments, including protests that broke out following the coup, have also been limited. State-run Sudan TV has predominantly broadcast messages by General Burhan between hours of patriotic and cultural music, while the website of the government news agency SUNAB has not been updated since the 24th of October. Staying in the region, 6 people have died in the latest airstrikes on the capital of Ethiopia's northern Tigray region, Mekelle. Among those killed are 3 children and at least 27 others were wounded. Federal forces have been conducting aerial bombardments on the city for more than a week as part of the year-long war with Tigrayan rebels. The coordinator of emergency services at Mekelle's Aida Hospital, Abebe Haftu, said the consequences of the airstrike by the Ethiopian military were cataclysmic, with bodies chopped into pieces. This was the 6th airstrike on Mekelle, which has a population of more than 500,000 since last week. You're watching NC Continental Prime. Coming up on the news, Africa's COVID-19 caseload surpasses 8.48 million. We'll bring you more on this when we return. Join us again. You're welcome back to NC Continental Prime. Now, between the year 2000 and 2019, 21 of the 48 sub-Saharan African countries have expanded the grounds on which abortion is legal. As many countries join this campaign, a cross-section of experts in the health sector have called for rethink, saying abortion remains an illegal process. News Central TV's Chidima Owosu completes the report.
Many countries in Africa have gradually broadened the legal grounds and improved the safety of abortions, with increasing quality and reach of post-abortion care. Countries with outright ban on abortion in Africa include Congo-Brazzaville, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Guinea-Bissau, amongst others. According to the World Health Organization, 3 out of 10 pregnancies end in induced abortion. Nearly half of all abortions are unsafe, while almost all these unsafe abortions take place in developing countries.
Abortion could be necessary at times when it poses danger to the life of the mother. However, if you look at the serious complication in the area of those who just play risk, less than 1 out of 100 early abortions occurs with complications, and in about 1 out of every 50 occurs later. And the complications are so enormous. There could be heavy bleeding, there could be infection as a result of incomplete abortion, there could be damage to the cervix, there could be scarring on the uterus lining that may affect further possibility of being able to conceive a child.
Unsafe abortion can lead to immediate health risk, including death, as well as long-term complications, affecting women's physical and mental health and well-being throughout her life course. It also has financial implications for women and communities.
Conception is what no money can buy. There's always a reason why God allowed it to happen. I prefer a preventive measure to outright abortion, because shedding innocent blood, which no man can produce and no money can buy, is against the will of God.
Something has to be done. It's about humanity. It's about continuing the life of the person who is carrying this fetus. I also say that all options has to be explored and taken into consideration before such decisions can be actually taken.
WHO estimates that nearly half of all abortions in Africa happen in the least safe circumstances, using dangerous, including invasive methods, which carry the greatest risk of severe complications and death. It remains to be seen how Africans take this awareness with the seriousness it deserves. Chidima Nwosu, reporting for News Central.
News Central now continues with our daily update on the coronavirus pandemic across Africa. There was confusion at Uganda's Entebbe International Airport following the introduction of mandatory COVID-19 testing for all arriving passengers. The testing started on Thursday following the opening of a lab at the airport. Some videos shared by travelers and social media show long queues of passengers with luggage in the testing area. Each traveler is required to pay $30 for a test. Until now, only a negative PCR test taken within 72 hours of travel was required to be presented at departure or arrival. According to the available Civil Aviation Authority data, Entebbe is the East African country's only international airport, and over 81,000 passengers passed through it in August. Now, 5 out of more than 50 African countries are projected to hit the target of fully vaccinating 40% of their population against coronavirus by the end of the year. This projection from the World Health Organization comes as the continent struggles to meet the rising demand for the essential tools needed for vaccination, such as syringes. Seychelles, Mauritius, and Morocco have already met 40% goal that was set in May by the World Health Organization. Tunisia and Cape Verde are the only 2 countries who will hit the milestone. Africa has had a major shortfall in COVID-19 vaccines and would need 275 million of them to reach 40% target this year. The African Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in the continent has surpassed 8.48 million. The Africa CDC said the death toll from the pandemic across the continent stands at over 218,000. It added that over 7.88 million patients across the continent have recovered from the disease. South Africa, Morocco, Tunisia, and Ethiopia are amongst the countries with the most cases in the continent. In terms of the caseload, Southern Africa is the most affected region. Still ahead on the news, United States President said spending deal could be the most significant climate crisis measure ever. Bring you more on this when we return. United States President Joe Biden asserted on Thursday that his huge social spending plan features the largest investment ever to fight climate change. Biden disclosed this in his address at the White House. He said the framework also makes the most significant investment to deal with the climate crisis ever. Biden added that on a day of frenzied activity, he aimed at securing support for his social spending plan while he prepares to leave for summits in Europe.
Responsible, it's fully paid for. 17 Nobel Prize winners in economics have said it will lower the inflationary pressures on the economy. And over the next 10 years, it will not add to the deficit at all. It will actually reduce the deficit, according to economists. No one got everything they wanted, including me. But that's what compromise is. That's consensus. And that's what I ran on. I've long said compromise and consensus are the only way to get big things done in a democracy. Important. These are not about left versus right, or moderate versus progressive, or anything else that pits Americans against one another. This is about competitiveness versus complacency. Competitiveness versus complacency. It's about expanding opportunity, not opportunity denied.
Meanwhile, congressional Democrats have accused the petroleum industry of paying lip service to climate change on Thursday. A memo prepared ahead of Thursday's hearing with big oil chief executives said the industry, while professing to support the Paris Climate Agreement and carbon pricing, has done virtually no lobbying in Washington to enact policies consistent with those goals. Committee Chairman Caroline Maloney, a New York Democrat, likened the hearing to a famous 1994 congressional hearing in which leaders of large tobacco testified under oath that nicotine was not addictive.
The truth is clear. Climate change is real. Burning fossil fuels is the primary cause of this crisis, and it is urgent that we fix it. This is the first time each of you has told Congress this and the companies that you represent, and it is significant and important. Thank you. But it's also true that if it weren't for the actions of the big oil companies, we might have taken action to fix this problem decades ago.
We've been vocal and transparent in our support for governments to implement policies that are cost-effective and achieve the greatest emission reductions at the lowest overall cost to society. We have advocated for an economy-wide revenue-neutral price on carbon for more than a decade and have publicly supported the Paris Agreement since its inception.
Chairwoman Maloney, this hearing is simply a distraction from the crises that the Biden administration's policies have caused for the American people. Just last week, President Biden admitted that he had no solution for the skyrocketing gas prices. He said prices will not go down until 2022. That's a problem for all Americans, especially low-income households.
Well, business, information and communication technology is increasingly being recognized as a key enabler in promoting knowledge-based growth, creating jobs, and boosting long-term economic prosperity of micro, small, and medium enterprises in developed and developing countries. Financial services providers pushed this conversation during a summit, saying there is a need for an education mix to improve competencies along that line.
Us to do is to support businesses from all over the country by building technology that enables financial inclusion and enables people to extend the reach of these services beyond the existing banking infrastructure, which is very, very limited, so that people can access financial services wherever and whenever they want. We have a deep dearth of talent across the entire industry because we are not creating enough to replace those who have gone to Canada. And so what we need to do as a matter of urgency is work with the institutions in the universities like the National Computer Science Association, many other affiliated bodies, as well as the universities themselves. So as a matter of urgency, enable the infrastructure for every university student to learn these skills.
The Central Bank of Nigeria has warned of attempted fraud related to a fake distribution of the newly launched e-Naira digital currency. In a statement, the bank said criminals have been sending fraudulent messages to people claiming that it was disbursing e-Naira worth 50 billion naira to Nigerian citizens. It denied making such a handout and has expressed concerns about its security. Joining me to discuss this and other issues surrounding the launch of the e-Naira is Ajibola Akamo, an investment analyst with Nairametrics. Hi, good evening, Ajibola. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us on Continental Prime. Now, ahead of its launch, most Nigerians were expecting a cryptocurrency, but it isn't a cryptocurrency. It's a digital currency. So to re-educate us, what's the difference?
Quite honestly, it is a cryptocurrency, and I would explain why. So the underlying technology is a distributed ledger technology, right? And there are various types of distributed ledger technology. So for the one that is publicly known is the blockchain technology, and it offers permissionless access to information. But whereas the one the CBN is using is the Hyperledger Fabric, but that offers for permissioned access into the blockchain. So it is just really throwing around words. It is still a cryptocurrency because it's still cryptography that's behind the two underlying technologies.
Now, the launch by Mr. President, we saw it was launched with pomp and pageantry. The CBN governor was present in the Aso Rock Villa. But just a few days into the existence, the stories have not entirely been positive. There's been reports of scammers attempting to, take advantage of the launch of the e-Naira, and the app was removed from the Google Play Store, and now we hear that it's back. Though it's been returned to the Play Store, can you say that the CBN did not do a thorough job in providing a fail-safe system and platform for the digital currency to perform hitch-free?
All right, so what I'll say to this is everybody needs to understand that it is still a pilot program. So there are bound to be glitches and whatnots to happen, right? They need to take it easy on the CBN. And also, I also would criticize the CBN because when you go through Google Store, Apple Store, and you see the comments, the minor bug issues on the application, which you would think that they would have settled up to now, that's what people were experiencing, and which is not too good and doesn't speak so well about the level of commitment that they've put into the application. So that's what I would say to that.
Now, I know it's still early days and you want Nigerians to take it easy on the Central Bank of Nigeria, but
yeah,
in a country with a population of over 200 million by some estimates, the size of our economy, the financial sector, Africa's biggest economy, with just over 10,000 downloads of the e-Naira speed wallet, that's not encouraging. What do you think?
All right, so we actually do have a report that says that there were over 200,000 downloads in the first 24 hours on Nairametrics. You guys can check that out.
Okay.
But,
so that information, are you telling us on record now that the 10,000 downloads is not true?
Yes, that's not true.
Okay, thank you for clearing that situation there.
Yeah, but even with 200,000 downloads in 24 hours, that's still very, very small when you're looking at the size of Nigeria. I mean, using a population size of 200 million people, that's 0.1% of the population. And that's why I would criticize the CBN again. They could have done more in trying to market this product, to encourage people to use this product, but we didn't really see so much marketing from the CBN. Don't get me wrong, it is a pilot program, but at the same time, you're issuing out, you didn't do a focus group pilot program whereby it's just a selected people using the product and giving feedback. You gave it to the entire public. So you should have done some level of marketing to get a lot of people on board so that you can stress test the application properly, but that wasn't done. So that's why I'll leave it. But it's not a good time. 200,000 downloads in the first 24 hours is not a good time.
So I believe as time goes on, we're going to see improvements on the app, and more Nigerians will get
hopefully, yeah. I mean, they took off the app. I'm sure maybe they did a little bit of upgrades and then they brought it back in. So hopefully things are better. Personally, I've not downloaded the app.
Now, Chibola, some economists in reaction to the launch of the CBN's e-Naira have said, you know, this is misplaced priority. The CBN should be more concerned about checking Nigeria's runaway inflation and policies to revamp the economy. Is this coming at a good time, or it's unnecessary?
Well, I would tend to side with those economists because I myself am an economist by education. And yes, we do have other problems we can focus on. For instance, we have the exchange rate issue. Like you said, the inflation rate issue. We have double-digit inflation. Regardless of whether the inflation has been dropping for 3 months, it's still double-digit inflation. It doesn't speak well of what the CBN is doing to combat that. And of course, as a nation, we need to move with the growing trends of, being the world moving in a digital direction, right? So definitely we need to do stuff in the digital realm. But I think we're going a step too far in adopting this, whereas there are underlying pressing issues that we can adopt. For instance, Nigeria has the best banking system, or should I say one of the most sophisticated banking systems in the world. It was not only in 2017. Yeah, we have one of the most sophisticated banking systems in the world. It wasn't until 2017 that the US was able to do interbank transactions with the use of the application called Zelle on their banking apps. That was when the US was able to do interbank transactions in 2017. Before then, people always used Cash App in the US, but we've been doing that long before now. And I believe that the CBN should have focused their attention on, putting the money towards cashless policy initiatives to encourage people to open bank accounts, and then encourage people to use digital platforms that already exist.
Now, finally, Jibola, I know we touched a bit on this, but I'd like to ask you if there are any positives from this, because this has taken the CBN and the federal government's time. A lot of money has been spent, a lot of manpower. What positives can ordinary Nigerians derive from this launch of the e-Naira?
Financial inclusion. So Nigeria has had a financial inclusion program for the longest time. In 2012, the National Financial Inclusion Strategy was that 80% of the adult population of Nigeria should have access to financial services. Yes, thank you for that. And as at the time I checked, the last report has it that according to the Nigerian interbank settlement system, only 47 million people have a BVN. And looking at a report from the CIA, the current adult population of Nigeria is about 117 million people. So if you're looking at the percentage of that, that means that only 40% of Nigerian adults actually have bank accounts, right? So because CBN saw that, okay, their financial inclusion strategy wasn't working, so they created a new strategy in 2019. And this strategy is 95% of the adult population of Nigeria should be financially included, right? But the problem is, that has not gone well all too far. But I believe that the e-Naira will be able to help the CBN achieve this goal.
Okay, thank you very much. Ajibola Akamo, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to us. We appreciate your insights on the subject. Ajibola Akamo of Nairametrics. We now join Tolulope Adeleru Balogun for the rest of the business news.
And it's time now for business on NC Continental Prime. I'm Tolulope Adeleru Balogun. Zimbabwe's annual inflation has increased again this month, rising to 54.5%, up from 51.5% in September. Inflation had been on the decline until August, when it stood at 50.2%, having peaked at 837.5% in July of last year. Month on month, inflation rose from 4.73% in September to 6.4% this month, the highest since August last year, when it was 8.4%. Month-on-month, inflation rose by 35.5% in July last year, when annual inflation peaked at 837.5%. Namibia plans to establish a sovereign wealth fund by the end of the year. Finance Minister Ipumbu Shimi said it would be used as a buffer against future economic shocks. The sovereign wealth fund will be split into short and long-term funds and be financed with proceeds from the renewable energy industry, mining royalties, fishing quotas, and the sale of state-owned assets. Shimi also disclosed that the long-term intergenerational fund will have 70% of its investments in equities, fixed income, real estate, and private equity. The short-term fund will focus on low-risk assets like treasury bonds and money market instruments. The government plans to invest about 2.5% of the intergenerational fund in infrastructure projects. Consistency of record keeping is lacking in Nigeria and harms data management. This makes it impossible to accurately make feasible projections for the future. To help resolve this, AFEX, the Nigerian Commodities Market, unveiled its 2021 crop production report, hopefully to fill the gap. The details in this report.
According to the IFEX Crop Production Report 2020-2021, maize production is anticipated to grow by 3%, while soybeans is expected to grow by 8% more than in 2020. Ginger has a production spike of 4% and sesame should significantly increase by 12%. Sorghum and paddy rice have a projected growth of 2% and 10% respectively.
One of the discussions that we could be having right now is, okay, how do we move smallholder farmers, small-scale farmers, how do we graduate them into medium-scale farmers and ultimately large-scale farmers, which I believe will be beneficial to the goal of attaining food sufficiency, right? And could also help solve challenges around pressures on prices of commodities.
Analysts explained the importance of the report, highlighting the factors affecting prices and plausible solutions.
Commodity prices experienced a huge rally in 2021 on the back of ban of importation of maize, which led to an increase in local demand, causing the price basket to skyrocket. In fact, this year we experienced over 70% increase in price of commodities on the local front. This increase, coupled with low national storage facilities, has made price stabilization by policy makers a very, very tough assignment for them to handle. Also, input prices were not left out, as it also recorded an increase of over 40% in the year. The much awaited Dangote fertilizer, urea fertilizer hit the local market this year, which was able to augment the dwindling supply that was in the market. However, consumption and availability of urea is highly subjected to international demand.
The impact of these reports, the yield is on the increase, the GDP contribution is on the increase, then there will be proper planning for agriculture from the federal government, from other big stakeholders within the government agencies and private sector.
The price forecasts for most commodities that were featured in the report are projected to increase. However, it recommends drastic steps to bridge the deficit between demand and supply for better economic outlook in the coming year. Lekan Onabanjo, reporting for News Central.
And with that story, we've come to the end of the business segment right here on NC Continental Prime. Don't forget to join us 11 a.m. West African time, Monday through Friday for Business Edge, as we take a look at the biggest economic, business, and financial stories coming out of the continent. I'm Tolulokwe Adileri Balogun. There's more coming your way.
Now, Jamie Yangu, tonight, recycling of waste stems from the need to extract, refine, and process raw materials, all in a bid to find solutions to disposal. In search of practical and sustainable solutions, communities in Kinshasa, the capital of the Democratic Republic of Congo, now resort to the most effective method, recycling. Blessings Masugu has the report.
Kinshasa, a teeming city of at least 12 million people, the capital of a Democratic Republic of Congo, is notorious for heaps of garbage and rivers choked by plastic bottles. So much more that its nickname, Kin the Beautiful, is now known as Kin the Trash Can. What an irony! The Clean Plast Company collects, processes, and recycles all types of plastic wastes in the Democratic Republic of Congo, formerly called Zaire, with the aim of cleaning up the city. This 39-year-old mother of two, Jane Bopena, is one of those who sells plastic wastes to the Clean Plast. She's always excited, making some money from selling these plastic. Jean was able to bring in 6 kilos of plastic today, and you can tell how excited she is by the smile on her face.
Nalokotaka wana na wana tena kubeli kaka pena njele pa batu babwaki pena lokoti na ngai nateki lelo ya 1500 nateki 6 kilo.
Located in the working-class and deprived neighborhood of Kingabwa, Clean Plast employs about 100 people, and its plastic recycling plant is still in operation. The crushed and compacted materials are in turn driven on a metal conveyor belt to the cleaning plant. They are then melted and poured into a granulator. Depending on the color, the regenerated material is placed in white bags and stored, ready to be sold to the plastic manufacturing industry. According to Alexander Bamanisa, managing director of the company established in 2018, the goal was to set up at least 2 sites in each of the capital's 24 communes and collect 4,000 tons of waste per month.
Qu'il y avait beaucoup trop de déchets, que la ville était de plus en plus sale, et en particulier des déchets plastiques. Les déchets plastiques sont les déchets qui prennent le plus de temps à se décomposer dans la nature. C'est entre 100 et 1000 ans. Alors il était important pour nous de contribuer et de chercher une solution durable à ce problème de gestion.
Recycling not only benefits the environment, but equally helps individuals. In addition, it also boosts the appearance of the same environment by making it look pleasant, saves money and time, among other benefits.
In sports tonight, Zamalek Football Club of Egypt likely to face 3-window transfer ban. Udoka Njoku has more on this and other sports stories. Hi, good evening, Udoka.
Good evening, Benga. Now let's talk sports. Egypt Football Club Zamalek could be facing a 3-window transfer ban due to unresolved issues with Portuguese outfit CS Maritimo. Now the problem started when Zamalek former midfielder Mohamed Ibrahim joined the CS Maritimo back in the summer of 2014. Ibrahim didn't stay in Portugal for long, despite being the most expensive signing for Maritimo at that time. He left the club after only 6 months spent among the ranks. Now, Mohamed then rejoined his boyhood club for a reported €350,000 fee, but due to the White Knights' previous board not complying with the agreement of the transfer, FIFA handed him a $1 million fine plus interest. Now, Zamalek legal advisor Nasser Azam spoke about the issue and how the club will deal with the issues. Now, talking about Emiliano Sala, the tragedy. David Henderson, the organizer of the flight responsible for the death of Emiliano Sala, has been found guilty of endangering the safety of an aircraft. Now, Sala was on his way to Cardiff City on the 21st of January 2019 after signing from French club Nantes for £15 million when his plane came down over the English Channel, killing the Argentine striker and the pilot, Ibertsin. Now, the court was told that the 67-year-old flight organizer had arranged the flight with football agent William McKay and had asked Mr. Ibertsin to fly the plane as he was in Paris on holiday. Mr. Ibertsin, who did not hold a commercial pilot's license, was not qualified to fly at night, and his rating to fly the single-engine Piper Malibu had expired. Now, a jury of 7 men and 5 women were told that moments after finding out about the incident, Henderson contacted numerous people to ask them to stay silent, saying that it could actually open a can of worms. And in the French Ligue 1, French club Paris Saint-Germain will hope for a bit of luck when they face Lille in the Ligue 1. Now, Kylian Mbappe has been ruled out through illness, while Lionel Messi is doubtful due to a minor injury. And Ligue 1 leaders PSG welcomed reigning champions Lille to the Parc des Princes on Friday, aiming to return to winning ways after last week's goalless draw with rivals Marseille. Mauricio Pochettino's side will do so without Mbappe, who played a full part in the Le Classique but has been struck down by an ear, nose and throat infection. And PSG will make a late decision on Lionel Messi's fitness, and Pochettino has suggested he may field the Argentina captain through the middle should he be fit. And that's a wrap on Sport Update on NC Continental Prime. I am Udoka Njoko.
Thank you very much, Udoka, for your sports update.